How is it to be homeless?
It sucks. I think the longest I've spent inside of a strip club was 14 hours.
That is my nightmare, being in American jail.
God will test you to the fullest. Now people have known the torture room globally. It's pretty amazing to me.
You're world famous now.
She was like, I'll give you an extra $500. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. She's like, 800. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. She was 1,000. I finally stopped. And I said, listen, don't ever degrade yourself that much that you got to pay somebody to touch you that way. So I am a believer of Jesus Christ. Yeah. Jesus Christ saved me. Yeah, that's how I came up with the torture room concept.
Miguel is known as the torture room guy. But this isn't about medieval torture, it's about discipline, recovery, and precision. Miguel built a method that attracts world-class elites, elite bodybuilders, tactical units, raiders players, I've heard, and people who simply want to function without pain. Welcome, Miguel. How are you today?
And I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on the segment today, bro. How you doing today?
Pretty good, man. You got a nice tattoo over there?
Yeah, I got it. Oh, man, I just got this done like 2 days ago. I love it. Love it. I don't know if the camera will be able to see it, but I got a cross with the skull on the silhouette in the background. I love it. It wasn't as painful as this side.
Yeah.
This side was an 8-hour piece. This side was a 4-hour piece. So,
But it actually looks more graphical. It looks more sophisticated. I think it's very easy to get a bad tattoo nowadays.
yeah, especially in Vegas, because a lot of places in Vegas, they're like, oh, we can do that in like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And then you wind up having to cover it up after a year or two. So, but yeah. So you have a lot of tattoos.
Yeah, man.
You're tatted up everywhere. I don't know if I'll ever be at your level, but
Yeah, the funny thing is, when I go and take a shower and I take off my trousers, I just have the upper body. So lower body, I look like, I don't know, like,
it's blah.
Yeah, it's just white. Yeah, it's just white.
Hey, I'm on the same boat you are, my friend.
Yeah, legs are painful and expensive.
I don't know if I'll ever get a leg tattoo. I'm not sure. I kind of like just having the upper body.
Yeah.
So I got a little bit on my chest, a little bit. I'm obviously sleeved up, the neck. Deciding if I might go into the front of the neck, but definitely the back.
So you don't have a tattoo on your back yet?
No. But all of this is designed to go to the back. So it's been a process. And so far it's been a 3-year process. So I give props to people who do like big pieces in like 2 sessions. They get it done in like, in the matter of 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah, I'm gonna take my sweet time. The back might be a 2-year process.
Yeah. I wonder about these people, like there are some real young guys that have lots of tattoos and they're in their 20s, right? I mean, first of all, how do you get the money?
Their tattoos ain't cheap these days.
No.
I mean, I think also when you're younger, you're a little bit more resilient to the pain. You can recover so much more. I don't know about you, but I'm 45 and the pain just comes faster and faster.
Yeah, we have the same age. And to me, I think the older I get, the more painful are the tattoos.
Yeah, I'm not down to do these 10, 11-hour sessions no more. Like 4 or 5-hour sessions, I'm good. Not that I want to tap out, but it's like I just know the recovery afterwards that, I don't want to be hurting for 7, 8, 10 days. I just want to feel it for 2, 3 days. A couple weeks go by and let's book another 4 or 5-hour session.
But yet you've chosen the name Torture Room. Isn't that ironic a little bit?
An oxymoron right there. Yeah, I'm known as a torture room guy, but I hate torture myself.
Yeah. But
like I love it, but I hate it. I think we're all fighting that battle in one aspect or another.
Yeah. Talking about tattoos in Vegas, what brought you to Vegas?
Job opportunity to expand the torture room. But what really opened that door was having a conversation with 7-time Mr. Olympia, Flex Lewis. So he owns the Dragon's Lair gym, which I believe I want to say it started in Nashville and then moved to Florida, and now he put it here in Las Vegas. And it was a private facility in those two locations. But when he went public here in Las Vegas, within the first year that he opened up his gym, him and I kind of met, we started just communicating together, and he gave me that one invite. So it was just to help expand the torch room, collaborate with Dragon's Lair Gym, and just create a nice facility for people to train, grow, and have a good recovery platform inside.
Were you famous before? So that's why he heard about you, right? I mean, he was reaching out to you and not starting like a reverse recruiting process, like, hey, who wants to be my gym guy?
Actually, it kind of walked both. Both was like I wasn't famous before, but I was getting pretty recognized at the time. So I was already working with already an Olympian pro, Missy Truscott, but at the same time, I was also traveling around America, doing massages all over the place. So the torture room name was getting the recognition, but was I at an elite status and famous and all that? No, I wasn't. But Dragon's Lair Gym, they put out a nationwide search for a massage therapist who wanted to relocate and be part of the Dragon's Lair team. I heard about it. I didn't really, throw my name in the ring for that one. But so many people here in Las Vegas apparently heard of the torture room, were showing um Flex Lewis and his manager my Instagram page saying, dude, this guy's like, he's everywhere. He's working with a lot of people. He's going to a lot of gyms, and he's already working with an Olympian pro that won the Olympia already, which was Missy Truscott. And they're good friends. So I think that's how my name just got thrown into the mix. And we ended up just communicating, and then he gave me that invite.
So basically, you went to Vegas because of Flex Lewis and the Dragon's Lair.
Correct. Yeah. At the beginning, I had no ambitions to move here. I really didn't. Coming from the Pacific Northwest, I had lived there most of my life. So I'm like, I want to stay here. Work is good, business is good, finances are good. I'm settled in. I get to travel here and there, so I'm always in another state. Like every other month, working with new people, new athletes, you name it. Anybody who would call me out. So I worked with a lot of diverse people. So coming to Vegas to visit Dragon's Lair and Flex Lewis wasn't, oh man, I want to move to Vegas. It was just another door that opened up that I just got to meet new people. And it's all about collaborating with people and making new connections. And I had never worked in Las Vegas. So I was like, let's see what doors could open there. But after that visit, that's when Flex Lewis kind of gave me that opportunity and said, hey, do you want to move here?
Tell us about the change. So basically, you mentioned that you've been in the Pacific Northwest before and moved then to Vegas. So how did the clients change? What was the struggle? Did they accept you right away? Or did they say, who's that torture room dude? Like from the, and we're the elite. I mean, here in Vegas, we have a bodybuilder elite here.
Yeah. This Vegas has now become the mecca for bodybuilding, for all athletics. The transition was difficult for me. Oh my God. I knew nobody, zero people. I only knew two people, Flex Lewis and his manager. That's it. So it was really hard for me to make the move here because starting the torch room up in the Pacific Northwest, and I was already established there, had all my clients. I had about 800 clients. So that was really good for a massage therapist before I moved here. So as a massage therapist, that's a really good number of clientele, but they were very diverse. It wasn't very hyper specific on like the athletes, the bodybuilders, things like that. Cause there's not a big bodybuilding scene up there, but it was just anybody and everybody. So my goal is I just want to help people. That's the goal. That's the one intention. Can I help as many people as possible, no matter who you are? So coming from up north to Vegas, not knowing Vegas, not having a friend here, not having family here, and coming here with zero clients, it was a culture shock in so many different ways that I didn't know if I was going to make it. And I didn't know if I was going to be accepted. I was, saying like, oh, the torture room guy, you do massages. Like, what the hell is that? Like, massage should not be torture. I thought I was going to get rejected. But you need to have faith in what you do, and you need to stay committed to your work, and you need to just keep showing up every single day and showing people what you're capable of doing and trying to sell, whether it's your product or your service. You can't expect people to just walk in your door. So you have to shake hands, you have to say hello to people, you got to make more connections. You have to introduce yourself to people and let them know what you're really here for and why you're here. And, is it a service that they could use? And So I had to up my sales skills, which was difficult for me. But now I'm here 4 years in Vegas. The torch room has made it.
Yeah, you're world famous now.
Now people have know the torch room globally. It's pretty amazing to me. There are small moments throughout the year where I just like look up at the night sky and I'm just like, man, I can't believe I still live in Vegas. I can't believe I worked on this person or that person, or people like travel from other countries just to come here to work with the torture room. I think that's freaking amazing.
Can you do some name dropping, some famous stars that you did massage therapy with?
Well, people always ask me who are like the most famous person I've worked with. It mostly goes to the bodybuilding scene because those are the ones that really gravitated to me here in Las Vegas. Jake Cutler's a big name. He was the very first person that booked. Like I wasn't even here yet. My room wasn't set up. He saw the banner inside Dragon's Lair gym, and Jake Cutler was the very first person to like just get on my booking link. He wanted to be the first. I was so nervous. I was shaking because I'm a big fan of Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
I had kind of briefly met him here and there, but to really work with him, I was nervous, bro. I was so nervous. But Jay Cutler, he's just world famous. Um, uh, the Rock's stunt double.
What?
Yeah, the Rock stunt double.
Yeah.
Tanawai Reed. Okay, I didn't know this. When I met him, I was like, bro, you look like The Rock. And he said he's his cousin. And I was like, okay, everybody might say that. I don't know who looks like him. But
Have you mistaken him for a second with The Rock?
yeah. And
Dude, he's like a giant, right?
he is, he's a really, really nice guy. But I think he's probably the most favorite person I've worked on so far because I'm a big fan of The Rock. I want to work on The Rock. I haven't been able to. I've never met the guy, but knowing Tanawai Reed and knowing that he's The Rock stunt double and, he's a family member. And this is when, I didn't know how to take the information, but I was like, why don't you get The Rock in here, man? I want to work on The Rock. I was like, why should he come in here? I'm the one that does all his stunts. And I'm like, no, he doesn't. I'm like, no, you don't.
He does all the dirt work for him.
The Rock does all his own stunts. He goes, no, he doesn't. So every time I see a movie with The Rock that's an action movie, I always look out for Tanawai Reed. I look at the scenes when they split. But Tanawai, very, very world famous guy, very nice dude, man. So it's nice to work with him every once in a while whenever he's in Vegas, because obviously he doesn't live here, things like that. But, and then there's always all the performers, the great, magicians that work on the strip, so, we all start to get to know each other. It's actually pretty cool, man.
So you not just take care of the bodybuilding scene, you also have like athletes, you have performers.
There's always the dancers that work out on that, and that's both angles. Don't ever think that dancer on Vegas always means the strippers. No, there's like dancing performers up there. One of the great magicians inside the Win. He considers himself a mentalist. He's done a few mind tricks on me, man. I'm like, bro, I don't know how the fuck you're doing that, man. But dude, you need to show me this, and he won't. The magician never reveals how they do things, but dude, I was like, dude, that's crazy. Which real funny story. I actually worked on him I think it was like 2 months ago, and he likes to do a lot of private performances for like celebrities, like really, really big famous celebrities who come into town, just spend time in Vegas. And I said, do you ever meet Jessica Biel? And he was like, yeah, she's been at some of the events that I've done, private entertainment for. And I'm like, well, next time you see her, tell her the torch room guy says hi. And he goes, okay, yeah, I will. So he came in and he was like, hey, Jessica Biel was at one of the parties. I told her the torch room guy said hi. And she gave him a weird look and then just turned away and started socializing with her friends again. And he came back, he got a session with me and he was like, hey, I saw Jessica. I told her you said hi, the torch room guy. Like, do you know her? And I'm like, no, I don't know. Like, bro, I thought you knew her, man. I'm like, no, I don't know her, man. I'm just a big fan. But I figure with everybody that I know here in Vegas, if enough people tell Jessica, hey, the torture room guy says hi, eventually she's going to be like, who the hell is this torture room?
She lives in Vegas?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know where she lives, so I'm not that big of a fan where I like stalk her and stuff like that.
But that's the cool thing, right? I mean, every American is once a year in Vegas.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people travel to Vegas. So, but yeah, so Jessica Biel has heard of the Torture Room. I don't know if I'll ever get invited to a party and get to meet her in person, but I'm a big fan of hers. And so, but yeah, he actually told her hi for me, and she was like, I don't know who the hell that is. So,
Yeah. So you take care of bodybuilders, athletes, dancers,
yeah, entertainers,
entertainers.
and everybody else in the general public, man. It's like the whole mission of the Torture Room is, can I help as many people as possible while I can still do this career? So anybody and everybody, anybody, it doesn't matter who you are or where you are. If you believe you're at the bottom, you think you're at the last straw, you've tried everything, you've seen doctors, you've seen physical therapists, you've been through rehab, PT, you go to chiropractors, nothing is helping. Come see the Torture Room. I have helped many, many people just get back to being active again, because that's what everybody wants. A lot of people just want to be active again, whether it's a small level or a big level, being back in the gym. And there's some people that say, I just want to walk my dog. I can't even walk my dog anymore. I'm staying stuck in the house. So I want to help everybody.
Yeah, I had that problem when I couldn't even lift my arm anymore for shooting. I was like, ah, shit, Miguel, help me. Yeah. And we will dive into this. But first, let's talk a little bit about the sin. Tell us, what does the sin mean to you here in Vegas?
Sitting here to me means it is nonstop. It is not, it is exactly what I thought Vegas was going to be. Because when I moved here, I didn't know what to expect from Vegas. We all have this idea, and I never been to Vegas before.
Oh, really? So basically, the first time you came for your job application was the first time you came to Vegas.
First experience of Vegas. So
Wow.
I had that general assumption of like, oh, it's parties 24/7, drugs and alcohol everywhere. And it really isn't that, but it can be. It all depends on what you want to look at and how you want to live your life. But the sin in Vegas is that, I believe, is that it's 24/7. So whether you want to be the party person, you want to go out and have dinner at 3 a.m. and have a nice steak dinner inside a restaurant because you just want to be awake all day and do that, you can do that. It's like Vegas is alive 24/7. Whatever it is you want to do, you can pretty much make it happen here. So that's the sin, I believe, because man, it's hard to like find that balance of the hustle, the grind of why you're here, and then there's all the playtime that you can have here in Vegas, all the playtime.
How do you stay away from this sin? Like what is your secret for discipline? Because you can see a lot of people here going down big time. Yeah, how do you stay away from, all the temptation? I mean, you have the beautiful woman here. You have like these quick job offers, you know,
Yeah,
the shortcuts.
yeah. You have to stay rooted in why you're here and what you're doing. You have to always go back to like what was your purpose for coming here? At least for me. I mean, some people might move to Vegas because they're trying to get away from their state because of whatever's going on in that area. I came here for business. So I always put that at the forefront. Business, business, business. My goal here is to grow the Torture Room so big that it's branded as big as it can be. So when people say, I've heard of the Torture Room, I need to go visit that guy. And we're slowly growing the business there. So I always equate it to its business. But everybody has playtime. So I definitely have had my hours and nights of partying. But when I have to stay grounded, I have to know that there's always many goals to get me to my big goal. And, it's all about just building up the Torture Room name and branding it so hard that everybody wants to try it out at least once.
I think that Vegas actually really teaches you self-discipline and self-management. I once met this woman, she divorced from her husband, and I think he paid her like 2.2 million or so. So yeah, so I met her, we had a talk and and basically then she went 1 week, like on this typical, oh, now after this 30, 40-year marriage, I'm free. So I'm just gonna spend a little bit of my money and have a good time. Miguel, she has spent all her money
No,
within 1 week.
no,
Boom.
no way.
Drop the mic. I met her again after 1 week. No kidding. I mean, it's easy to laugh now, but it was like, what? I mean, she said, yeah, you carried away so fast. So basically, what happened is, always this good housewife. her husband, super career maker and stuff. And then, her friends were in town. They went down to the city, they got drunk, whatever, wasted. Yeah. And then, playing here, playing there, gambling here, gambling there, winning, losing. And then just, losing the overview and, basically lost everything.
Imagine that. You can lose 2 million in 1 week. You can lose. Just to say that out loud, that is just mind blowing. I don't know. If I had 2 million, I don't think I'd ever be broke again. But it's all about money management.
And I think that, like teaches me every week here, like you can lose everything so fast here.
Yeah, yeah. As fast as you get it, you can lose it just as fast here in Vegas. That's crazy. That's the sin part of Vegas. It's like you're always reaching for more. You're always reaching for more to get more gold out of that pot right there. But it's like that's an internal battle, I believe. Some people got to face within that person there, obviously in a marriage. Now they're free, don't know what their mindset is at the time, but being free from all the obligations and then having 2 mil to play with. I mean, not everybody gets that opportunity, and to waste it in 1 week. In 1 week, oh my God, what, man? Where was she at? I wish she would have booked some sessions at the torture room. I could have used a little bit of that money.
Yeah, it would have been better for her. Tell us a little bit about, like, is there anything like basically some fun stories that you experience, your rabbit hole, the dark side of the Miguel, is there some getaway here that you have?
Oh man, I think I'm pretty boring on that one. But the getaway of Miguel, like just my own personal self here. Oh man, I want to say I have two ultra egos because there's the quiet side of me where I do a lot of reading. I read 2 books a month, and I like to write a lot of papers. But that's the educational side of me. It's what keeps me grounded in my business. And then there's, oh man, the times I just love to drink and hang out at the strip clubs. Like that's the other side of me where I give like no fucks, and I'm just like, yo, I just want to have a good time, have good company, be around beautiful women, have a good meal, because you can get a full on dinner at a strip club. And I think the longest I've spent inside of a strip club was 14 hours. That was bad, but it's not like I only did it once. I've done it multiple times, but that's just the other side of me when I just want to have some playtime. I'm not a big gambler, so I'm not gonna, gamble my money away. But I guess it's kind of gambling when you're at a strip club at the same time. But it's you also meet a lot of cool people there. You don't even realize it, but you talk to some of these dancers, and they're very well connected.
Yes.
You meet so many people, and if you can actually engage in a pretty good conversation with them, because it's not all about the dance and how provocative it is. When you get to talk to them, sometimes they're like, oh, I've met a person there, and I know a person in this industry. And before you know it, you start getting connected with people.
Yes.
And I've made some of the greatest business deals with the torture room, but just getting clientele from some of the dancers. And they're like, hey, I'm going to send people your way because I'm meeting somebody that might need your services. And I'm like, dude, it's so you're always getting connected here in Vegas. But yeah, so my playtime is usually the strip club. That's my biggest sin right there.
Yeah. And I think, especially for our international listeners, I think a lot of people are mistaking strip clubs here in Vegas, because I think a strip club here is just like, I don't know, like a bar. You hang out somewhere in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you go to a strip club to watch a UFC fight. You can go there for brunch.
Yeah, yeah. You can have breakfast there. You can have dinner there. A lot of them have little mini sports lounges inside. You just want to go watch the game.
Yeah.
Just to enjoy a few drinks. It's not always about just going in there, seeing all the girlies, and then that's it. You can just go in there and actually have a pretty good time. It is really just like a sports bar. But, people are there to sell company. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Actually, I'm in this good position that Michelle likes to go to strip clubs. So yeah, we have never been together. I've been once in my life in a strip club yet.
Oh man, we got to go.
I know, we have to go. Yeah, to that new place, the one that I sent you on it.
Oh yeah. Oh, at the Mandalay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not even a strip club.
that's burlesque, right?
That's just a burlesque show, but it's really, I hear it's really, really good show. So we got to try that out, and we'll try out a strip club.
Yeah, I just had this one experience, and I was super sad and all down. And I went to the local Home Depot here, And yeah, someone said like, "Hey, I also work at the strip club. If you want, come by tonight. We take care of you. We make sure we lift you up." And I really had a good time. A lot of people, and I didn't have a private dancer or so. Meet German Cheap Charlie. A drink is like $25. I just have a Diet Coke or so. So I went in there, hardly spent money. I had a good time, and they actually referred me to a couple of people, as you said, so well connected. My real estate agent basically was a stripper recommendation.
Yeah, see, it's crazy how you can get connected with people. But that's what I mean. You can go to the strip club and actually just have a really good time. You can meet some really cool people there. It all depends on the energy that you walk in on. Some guys could be in there extra creepy and be extra touchy feely, and some of them are just like, "Hey, let's show me a good time," and it's all a transactional thing. So, it is going to be what you make of it, but you can really make good connections. So that's pretty awesome that you were able to do that.
You just talked about the two sides of Miguel and, that one dark side, but also you talked first about the other version of you, the reader, and also what you haven't mentioned yet, the believer, right? I mean, you're a believer.
Yeah, I am a believer of Jesus Christ. Yeah. Jesus Christ saved me. Yeah, that's how I came up with the torture room concept.
Yeah, maybe you want to share that.
Getting introduced to Jesus Christ. A lot of people hear about Jesus Christ, and everybody will make their own opinion our Father, our Savior, and think about it as a religion, or should I follow, or what is it for? Everybody wants to just make their own judgment call about it. But to really be introduced to Jesus Christ, and a mentor that I had when I was down at the bottom of life, man, I was actually homeless when that happened.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? How is it to be homeless?
It sucks.
Yeah.
Like, I was living in my car. So I was living in my car. I was donating plasma twice a week just to make my car payment.
What?
You can probably make about 500-600 bucks a month donating plasma twice a week. So car payments these days are not cheap. So it was barely just to keep me in my car. That's basically what I had. But
I mean, and Pacific West is cold.
it's cold, yeah, and it was
How do you survive in a car there? You let the engine run all night?
sometimes you have to. What I did, I actually just bought a sleeping bag. So I had a mid-size SUV, so I was able to lay the seats down, but I barely fit in that thing. So, but I bought a sleeping bag, and at nighttime I had to like curl up in there. But I had a business before the torture room that was a massage business, and that failed, and that's what happened. Business failed so horribly, just me making bad decisions with business, how I market, everything else. I lost everything, my home, money, you name it. I just knew it was coming. I knew that I was going to be living it's like I could see it, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. And I didn't know how to take that. I was angry though. I was angry at a lot of people, and then I was then angry at myself. And when I say I was angry at a lot of people, it was just because I was looking at like friends, and friends weren't like helping me out. Nobody was helping me promote. And I was looking for all these external factors to be angry about my situation, which is really a bad thing because nobody's going to help you with your business. If you have an idea and you want to come up with some, time to go to work, motherfucker, time to go to work. And I didn't know that. So my business failed within the year. And I was living out of my car. And after a few months, I ended up meeting this gentleman named Larry Dell, older gentleman, and I met him actually in a yoga class. I signed up for a free yoga class. It was just free, and I was like, "I'll do a free yoga class." It gets me in a building. I get to use the restroom. Maybe I get to meet a person or two. I ended up meeting this guy named Larry Dell. He had a lot of hip issues, but he was very big in his church talking to people. So that's how he became my mentor. And when I told him I was a massage therapist, we talked about like his like medical issues with his hips, but he also introduced me to Jesus, like truly, truly introduced me to him. And that's when I started falling into having complete faith that the journey I'm on, whether I'm at the bottom, there's a reason for it. You can either be destructive and keep being angry and keep suffering that way, or you can Start looking into yourself with complete faith that Jesus has a purpose for you, but you have to really have faith. And eventually you start to merge to the positive side of what's going on. And that's kind of hard to say because you're like, dude, you're homeless. What could be positive about that? Well, I don't have a job to go to, so I don't have that as a stressor. I don't have rent. I don't have anything. I don't have anything, so I don't have money anyway. So I spent a lot of my time just practicing my faith, going back to the basics of massage therapy. So my clutch was, um, I'm like, I know I want to be a massage therapist. I just don't know how to do it. I felt so lost. So I'm like, let's go back to the basics and having complete faith in Jesus Christ, knowing that he's going to lead the way.
But that's a tough one, right? I mean, if you live in a car and you do massage therapy, you need a room, you need equipment, you need customers, you need marketing.
So I had zero.
Yeah.
No money, no clients, no room, no table, no nothing. I had zero, but I know I wanted to be a massage therapist. So going back to the basics, I was just I was hanging out at places where I know it's free. So I was at Barnes and Nobles and I'm like just gonna read up on the anatomy again. I'm gonna read up on techniques, modalities, enlightenment, the power of yourself, books on faith, things like that. It's like I had to start thinking more positive. But Larry Dell really got me into that mindset. And one thing that I'll never forget that he told me, he said, every time you're going to make a decision, just slowly meditate on that. I meditated anyway, but now I'm meditating with faith. And he was like, when you hear that small voice speaking to you, don't ever go against it. I promise you, that's Jesus Christ talking to you, telling you to move forward. He'll never steer you in the wrong direction. And don't ever like second guess that small voice, like if it's really what you want. And one day I was just meditating at the park, just sitting there alone. It was a normal thing I did, kind of like once a week. And then all of a sudden, the torture room name just started appearing in my mind. It's actually hashtag torture room. And I was like, that would be a cool hashtag. That would be a cool freaking hashtag. Hashtag torture room. And I was like, would it work? Would it not work? And it kept coming back to me. It kept coming, but I couldn't pull the trigger on opening it. But then I slowly started having these ideas about the torture room and what would it look like? What would it be like? So I started manifesting it. I started visualizing it. How would the music be? How would I dress? What would the work be like? Would I switch up my technique? But in the back, like in my mind and in my heart was all led, but with faith. And I'll always remember what Larry Dell told me that. He was like, that's Jesus Christ talking to you. He will help you get to where you want to be. But here's the kicker. Here's where people don't understand because they think, oh, I have faith and I'm just going to pray and it should just be given to me because it says, ask and you shall receive. God will test you to the fullest if you really want it. He will put you through the fire. And it's why it said you will have to carry your own burden before you will be given the gifts. Like he will test you so bad. So even when I was guided this way, it took me another 3 months and I was not seeing light at the end of the tunnel. So your faith will be tested. And that's one thing that it's hard for people to understand, and I didn't get it at first, but it will be. And this is how I'll tell you how the torture room started. The day one it started because for 3 months I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel, nothing. And I'm like, I'm doing everything. I have faith. I'm reading the books. I'm visualizing. I can see my future. I know I can hear Jesus's voice guiding me. But he was guiding me to keep learning, to keep working, to keep having faith. And then one day, 3 months go by, and I am flat broke. I have like $4 in my pocket, honestly. And I don't think I've eaten in like 3 days, just drinking water. And so I was like, well, I can use this $4 to put gas in my car, or you know what? I'm gonna just get a Big Mac sandwich. I was hungry. So I got a Big Mac sandwich and I'm eating it in a parking lot of a Target. And I can see the sunset, the day's over. And I'm like, man, I don't know what else to do. Like I've done everything. I believe I'm doing everything. Larry told me that, Jesus will help me. And I finished my dinner that day and I'm looking at the sunset and I just broke down. I just broke down crying. And I was like, dude, I'm done. I'm like, I give up. Like, I'm done. I did everything. I tried everything. I'm learning everything new. I'm changing my mindset. I believe it. Maybe this isn't what you want me to do. So I kind of threw up the white flag. And that's when I started to realize when you finally give yourself up fully to Jesus, completely give up everything that you say you are, he will guide you. At that exact moment, my phone rang. At that exact moment. I mean, I'm like crying. I'm like wiping snot off my nose, man, with my shirt. And I'm just like, and all of a sudden my cell phone rang. So I was able to keep my cell phone. It was, anybody can have a cell phone. But and it was just some lady that called me and she said, "Hey, I got your business card from somebody." And I hadn't printed business cards out for like 2 years. So I don't know how they got it. But they're like, somebody gave me your business card. We're opening up a business in your area and we would love to have a massage therapist in here. And I was like, man, like I just started crying more and I had to get myself together. And I was like, well, I need to know the details. And she vaguely talked about it. And I said, I'm going to be honest. I don't have the finances to rent a room out from you guys. And she said, well, why don't you come in tomorrow? I'll send you our location. The owner will be in town and we're going to open in 1 week. And so I get to the location the next morning. I try to get myself together in a gas station, at a Circle K. And, I try to put on whatever clean clothes I have, and the owner was really nice guy. His name was Jason. And it was a really nice room, man. I was like, this could be really good. But I had to tell him, I'm like, listen, man, I don't have the money for it, just so you know, I don't. And he was like, well, the rent is 400. Can you put like 50% down so we can at least get you in here? And I'm gonna be honest, I got like 32 cents. I'm like, I really don't have it, man. But we talked for a few minutes and all he said is, you seem like a nice person, man. You seem like a really nice guy. He goes, I'll give you the room for free. He goes, and as soon as you start making money, we can discuss about how you can pay back, what's going on. This is how Jesus will provide. He will slowly say, you've done so much suffering. I will give you all the provisions to just keep moving forward. Just keep having faith in me. And he said, talk to the lady that called you. We're going to promote you on all our social media, our website, everything. We're going to have an open house in 7 days. So I'm like, okay, cool. Donating plasma twice that week. Well, I think I was able to get like $80 out of that. I go to uh like a secondhand store, like a thrift store. It was kind of like I think it was a Goodwill. I found a massage table, yeah, for like $15. I found like 3 sheets. I didn't have anything. I just got what I could. Opened up a week later, and the first day I made $2,000, bro. Day one, I made $2,000 in one day.
Amen.
Man, I was crying after work and I was just sitting in my car. I wanted a hot meal so bad. I went to Applebee's, bro.
Yeah.
I wanted some boneless wings. I wanted a Crown and Coke. I wanted to taste lemonade. There was the simple things. I was more wanting the simple things. I ended up eating a burger right after having some boneless wings. And I'm like, to this day, I still go back to the same Applebee's once a year and have the same meal. And it just lets me know where I came from. And eventually every day started unfolding that way. And I started having the new mindset. I was like, this is not about me. It's not about getting rich. It's not about getting finances. It's not about being the best. It's not about being flashy. It's about, can I help other people? He gave me a second chance. So the chance is not to see how great I can be. It's how good can you help other people? He goes, I took you out of the rut. I basically went through shit, bro. 8 months of homelessness, breaking down, 8 months of nothing. And he tested me that hard that, now it's like, I know what it's like to be there. So now it's all about, can I help other people?
You're a very humble being.
Yeah. So it's not like, oh, look at what I can do and look at what I came up with. No, it's like, let me hear your story now. Jesus heard my story. Now I want to hear other people's story. And I always have this belief in my mind that people come into my room because they've been guided by by the universe, by Jesus, by whatever. And there's a lot of times that in prayer, I always ask, like, hey, if there's anybody that needs my help, just let them find a way to me. And before I know it, man, people start showing up and people start saying, hey, man, I heard about you. Or people globally will say that. And they're like, man, I heard about you. I've seen this about you. I saw you on YouTube. And I'm like, damn, that is like the reach is so far. And I'm like, man, God's putting me through another test. He's like, you really want to do it? I'm sending you somebody that got some extreme conditions. And it's been pretty good so far. I get tested, I fail, I win some, I lose some, but I'm gaining more and more experience. But that's how the torch room started, man. I lost it all. Ran through the dirt. Somebody introduced me to Jesus, and Jesus gave me a second chance.
How many years was that ago?
That was in 2019, so 6, 7 years ago.
I mean, that is a success story for everyone out there that is struggling right now.
Yeah.
I mean, in 6, 7 years, basically from today, you could be, just as you, one of the most world famous massage therapists, well known for your individual techniques, well known for your diligence. People travel from Europe.
Yeah, from Europe. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to me.
Yeah. Tell us about that Europe experience, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah. Well, I work with a lot of athletes from Europe, but the one that stands out to me the most was an elderly lady. She was 72 from Italy. And I just got a random DM on Instagram and just started unloading all the conditions she's having. It was pretty extreme. And she's like, I know you can help me. I found you on YouTube. I've seen your videos over and over and over again. What you talk about, how you can manipulate muscle tissue, how you can speak to cells, how you can change a person's reality, which I believe is possible in massage. She was a psychiatrist. So we had a lot to talk about when she finally came in about the human mind and human experiences. But she wanted to know what it really meant to like change a person's reality and how can I manipulate cells through massage therapy. So we did that, but yeah, her conditions were very, very extreme that she didn't know like what was going to happen for the rest of her life. And I'm like, well, what do you want to do? And she's like, I just want to walk again. That was big. And I'm like, she was like, I can walk. She goes, but I can't walk no more than 30 minutes. Extremities go numb, even down to the hands, the feet, you name it. A lot of muscular imbalances. She had previous surgeries that put her in a bad spot. Surgeries can put you in a worse spot than what you went in for, but it's just what happened in her life. And but that's all she said to me is, I just want to walk again. And I was like, I'm like, this is stressful, man. I don't know what to do. Like I lost sleep over that one. And she said, I'm flying to Vegas to work with you for 1 week. I want to see you every single week. And yeah, she didn't come to Vegas to party, to gamble, to do anything. She was an elderly person that I was like, all she wanted to do was get better. So we really had to break down the treatment more from just like the hands-on portion to the psychological portion. I had to know where her mindset was at. And so we did a lot of communicating during the session. And we switched up modalities in so many different ways just to try to change the response of muscle tissue. By day 3, I asked her what she's been doing in Vegas, and she's like, I'm just going back to my room at the Cosmo. And I come here, I wake up, eat breakfast, and then I wait for my appointment, and I just go back to my hotel room. By day 3, I told her, go down to Fremont. It's a very vibrant place. It's not the Strip. It's Old Town Vegas. It's not a big, boardwalk there. It's not a big strip area, so it's probably 2, 3 blocks. But I just want you to go walk today. And she's like, I don't know if I can do that. I'm like, I want you to just go walk. I promise you it will be different. And she came back the next morning for her treatment. She had walked for 6 hours with no pain.
Damn.
6 hours. She was having so much.
30 minutes. I just want to be capable of walking 30 minutes, right?
Yeah. And I think by this time we've done maybe 5 hours of treatment total. And we still had the rest of the week, but she was able to walk for 6 hours. The joy in her story, her eyes, her like energy just walking into the room would change dramatically from when she got off the plane coming here from Italy. Everything changed. So it was perception. we changed her perception and we changed how that experience goes and speaks to muscle tissue with what activity you want to do. And she was an advocate hiker before all her extreme conditions like really took over her life. So that was a difficult one, and we still finished a few more treatments after that. And I still communicate with her now. She has a personal trainer. She's active. She's moving, and it was hard for me to understand her story because a lot of people fall into this where I was like, why are you like this? What's going on that this had to happen? And after all her surgeries and all the medications she's on, she was told, don't go outside anymore. You have to stay indoors. Don't be active. All this walking you do, you can't do it. You cannot walk more than 30 minutes anymore. That belief was put in her mind by her doctors. So her body was slowly deteriorating. So someone just put that roadblock in her mind saying after 30 minutes, you can't walk anymore. So her body started to believe that. And that's why she was having a lot of issues. And we kind of broke that cycle mentally. So I think there's three pillars of stress in massage therapy. And one is biomechanical, how you move, your daily activities, social, how are you? Do you have friends, family that can cause a lot of stressors? And psychological. I think those are the three pillars of stress that any massage therapist should understand. And it's like, what's the game that you're telling yourself? What's the story that you keep repeating in your life? Oh, I'm no good. I can't do that. They say I'm this. They say I'm that. Your body will start to recognize that story and it will become your reality. So, I mean, those three stressors right there, I think, are the pillars that any massage therapist should understand when you get to hear somebody's story when they're like, "Hey, I need help. I think massage can help me," and try to fill in those gaps under those three pillars there. For her, it was more highly psychological. So we had to break that. We had to break that chain, and the activity, the biomechanical portion of it, just followed suit. And everybody's different. For some people, it's more social. They get dragged down by friends, family, toxic relationships, work stuff. And some people, it's mechanical. It's like I'm just too active. I'm in the gym 7 days a week, and I'm running 100 miles. Within the week. And they just wear their body down. So
And maybe you can share a little bit. I mean, you have a lot of horizontal and vertical knowledge, right? I mean, you communicate to people a lot. You know a lot of stuff, like right? I mean, when you do treatments, I mean, I've done quite a few with you.
yeah, you survived a couple sessions.
Yeah, love it. Love it. You changed my life. You did.
Oh, man,
And-
good to hear, bro.
And what I like, I mean, the variety, the portfolio that you have to offer, but it's not just the variety, it's also the depth that you have.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you can tell a little bit what differentiates you from the normal massage therapist that comes from, like some educational center or so. I mean, what makes the torch room guys so special?
Oh man, I always bring it down to the basics is I want to hear the story. I want to hear this is how in depth it goes. How people tell their story from the voice, how social cues, how they sit, how they, how when I ask questions, how they answer the questions tells so much of how they're holding on to their burden. Their muscle tissue will start to collaborate with everything. So when I palpate everything that I confirmed of social cues that you were telling me while you're telling the story is just a confirmation of it's a guided path that I can kind of see already. So it's not just the symptom, but there's also a lot of things you can do with the human body physically to observation wise, like with bodybuilders. You know, bodybuilders, there comes the point where they're no longer chasing pains and symptoms anymore. It's not like, oh, I have a knot on the back of my shoulder blades or, things like that. Now there comes a point with every bodybuilder where they now want to see if their body can look different
Through massage?
through massage. So can we change how muscle tissue lays on the structure of the bone?
Is that possible?
It's highly possible. I do it all the time.
Wow.
We can expand more muscle fibers so it looks so much bigger and they can see it so much bigger. Because with a bodybuilder, that sport is all about presentation. they're getting judged on their symmetry, muscle size and fullness, conditioning, things like that. So, can we change how the body looks to the observer? And it's like, it's highly possible. It's not written in any curriculum. It's not taught in any school. But me and alongside with other massage therapists around the world that work with these elite athletes of bodybuilding, we do it all the time, and we're trying to showcase people how it's possible. And but yeah, it's like that's how in depth it goes, and and it goes even deeper than that. Like with my client from Italy, and plus many others. I have a more extreme condition the somebody that came through, but it's like I think the hardest one is the psychological game. Can you change someone's mental game so much that it changes how their body reacts to the outside world? And I think that's possible, and that's all through touch. That's the power touch has when you work with another person.
Talking about the mindset game, do you see any difference between like bodybuilders, athletes, first responders, you know, tactical units?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So with bodybuilders, it's more about they have this driving attitude that no matter what they're going through, they're still going to show up to the gym. They're still going to do the workouts. They're still going to stay on diet. And, there's this driving attitude. And that's why they're one of the most elite athletes out there. They're the one percenters because they're so extreme with the diet, the discipline, the isolation, the driving force to go into the gym. With like professional athletes, that is more about a performance thing. So they need to be able to perform. So now we're looking at like fast twitch muscle fibers. They need to keep performing no matter what. So they're very similar, but one is about performance and one is about the driving force of I'm just going to keep showing up whether I feel like dog shit anyway because they want to look a certain way.
So you have to make sure they make it through the season.
Yeah. And with everybody else, like let's say a first responder, that's going to be more stress related. They're out there helping people out all day, pulling these 12-hour shifts, 16-hour shifts, whatever it may be, even like firefighters, they have to be at the station for like 2-3 days. They're on call. They have to be on call at any given moment. So there it's more stress related. They can still keep going because adrenaline, but their body's going to hit that downhill on the stress. So we got to play with that. We have to understand that. So there's many different varieties of what people have to go through that the value of touch just can complement and enhance everything that they want to get into. And everybody has a different goal.
Who takes pain better? Like the elite sports guys, like bodybuilders, first responders, whatever, or regular people?
I would say, oh man, who takes pain? I would say regular people take pain better.
Yeah.
I would say they do.
Yeah. Why is that? I thought bodybuilders are always in pain.
Like they are and they aren't. Like they can handle the pain of the gym, that resistance training because it's self-inflicted. Massage is external. So I'm the one putting pressure. So they can't handle that. So it's foreign to the body. So they're like, I work on a lot of athletes and they're just screaming their head off, when we got to release certain tissues and unlock joints. And I'm like, man, I've seen you squat like 700-800 pounds. And they're like, but yeah, I choose to do that. Like you're putting the pressure on me. So I would say that it's the average people that they can actually take the pain the most, and I don't know why that is, but it's one thing that's very unique. But on the side of that, women for sure take pain way better than men.
Yeah.
Oh, 100% hands down. And I've been in the game for 12 years in massage. I've seen some of the most scariest looking guys to the biggest motherfuckers out there, to people who are like, you know, emergency response teams with like, police force and you name it, power lifters who can deadlift 1,000 pounds. Man, nobody can take pain more than a woman.
What is the craziest case that you ever received?
Crazy in what way? I'll give you one case that speaks very special to me because this one kind of brings a circle back to my faith. So I get a phone call from this gentleman one time, and he was an Uber driver, and he said that somebody was just talking about the torture room. So he gave me a phone call. He wants me to work on his mother, And he gave me no indication of what was going on with her. He just said, "My mom just is in a lot of pain. Can you help me out?" I gave a ride to somebody and they were just speaking highly about the torture room. They flew in from somewhere, so that's how they were in the Uber, and they're like, "Okay." He only booked a 30-minute session, so I'm thinking it's something normal, maybe a kink neck, things like that, or, maybe their hip is kind of hurt. No, two people were assisting this young lady walking into the gym, and she was about, I think she was like 68, 67, 68. And I was like, "Oh my God, what is this?" Like, I don't think you need to get a massage. I think you need to maybe go to a doctor. I don't know, but two people are assisting her walking through. And I'm like, I turned to her son and I'm like, "Yo, what's going on here?" And he said, "Well, she suffered a stroke back in the 80s and half of her body is partially paralyzed." So
Wow. That's a while ago.
yeah. So she's been facing this for years, definitely had the dropped face on one end, not a lot of motor nerve function in the legs and the arms. So she was limping a lot. So she had partial paralysis on just on her right side of the whole right side of her body. And I was like, and the only thing I'm thinking about is you only book 30 minutes, man. What can I do in 30 minutes? And this is what gave me the idea that I'm currently working on. Can I work on symptoms, conditions, and limitations without time? That's a very big one right there. And that I'm doing a lot of research on. But going back to the story, I only have 30 minutes with her. I didn't want to tell her son, "Dude, you only gave me 30 minutes. What are you doing to me?" I don't want to put that negativity out there. And I said, "Bring her on into the room. Let's see what we can do." I hear the story, everything that's going on. I'm like, "What's going on?" And she
Hearing the story is already 30 minutes, right?
yeah. And she's saying she has hip pain. And I'm like, it's funny how she can feel all this hip pain with all this, partial paralysis. It was painful for her to lay down on the table. So either way, they get her on the table. It was so bad that they had to undress her and put her on the table. Then I walked in the room after. And as soon as I started touching her, she just started screaming in pain. And we're talking the softest, most gentlest touch. I haven't even applied lotion yet. We're just like, I'm just kind of palpating to see what's going on. And she said, "It's my whole right side. It's so much painful." And I'm thinking, like, whoa, I don't think you should be here. What can I do? And as I'm just talking to her, and I'm just like, I'm kind of leaning over her. I'm face to face with her. She's looking at me, and I'm like, I'm going to try to do the best I can. You let me know how this goes. And right then and there, she saw this tattoo and she said, "Is that Jesus?" And I said, "Yeah, it's Jesus." She's like, I love Jesus." And I said, "So do I. He saved me 5 years ago and he put me here for a reason to help you." And she reached out with both her hands, which I thought was weird because she can now use her arm. She gave me a big hug and said, "I just love Jesus." And I said, "So do I. I'm going to do the best I can for you. He sent me here." And I started from that second, her pain sensitivity dissipated. Just went away. I was able to work on her legs, her hip. We did a little bit of light stretching. Everything was very light, but she was able to accept touch. No lie. After 30 minutes, she stood up on her own, dressed herself, and walked out of the room.
Yeah.
Now she was limping. She wasn't walking out like she was about to run a marathon. She was limping and she was hand up on the wall, but she was actually able to stand up on her own 2 feet, give me a hug afterwards. She gave me a kiss on the cheek and, she was like, "I'm so happy I got to meet you. Like, thank you so much." Biggest praises. And I was like, "N- I don't know how it worked. And this is how I know there's a bigger force out there than just us." But it only took one image and me saying, "He saved me and he put me here to help you," changed everything in her life. That's how I believe you can change a person's reality. And she was able to walk right out of that room by herself. She actually got dressed by herself after walking in needing assistance by two people. And that only took 30 minutes.
Wow.
That's how powerful it is. So that one's a very, very crazy story to me that hits me hard all the time because it's like you never know what situation you're gonna get. It's not like, "Well, what did you do? What did you do active release? Did you do trigger point therapy? Did you do apply scraping? Like what technique was it?" I'm like, it had nothing to do with the technique. We had to dive deeper. We had to go into the personality, the mindset, and the energy. And that changed everything. And we backed it up with faith.
Wow.
And that right there just changed her entire world.
At some point, I have to ask this question that everyone wants to hear right now. It's not the best moment right now, timing wise, but I have to ask it. Are there some people that approach you at the torture room? I mean, some guys and some girls. Can you tell us one story where, you know,
Like they approach me like what? Like do they hit on me?
yeah,
Oh, it happens all the time.
yeah.
It happens all the time. It, this is sad to say. It happens more so with men than it does with women.
What?
I don't know why, man.
Man, I was afraid first time I saw you because I mean, when you come around the corner, first shadow comes because you're a big guy.
Yeah, and that's what people say, but I really don't work.
Probably attracted by that.
Maybe I don't know, man. Now I have had some girls, hit on me. It's happened a few times, but it's weird. It more guys hit on me than anything.
Yeah. Can you tell us one story?
My most embarrassing story. We'll tell the embarrassing one. Oh man, there was one time there was a guy that came in, construction looking guy. Looked like a manly man, dude. Just
Like a beard.
yeah, beard. And he says he has low back issues. I can tell he works construction. I'm like, man, you're on your feet all day. But man, this is one thing I found out later. Like he was always had ear pods in. He always did have ear pods in, and I didn't know this, but I did work with him. I think this was our second session. I thought he was always listening to music, but and I know I've kind of shared this story with other people before, but he always was watching porn during the session. Just during, I thought he was always listening to music, because he was like face down. He always had, I didn't hear anything. But man, when I was telling him about like where his low back issues are coming from, maybe he was just always in the mood because of what he's watching. But I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have to work on your glutes. I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to, it all contributes to the low back and because you're on your feet all day. And he's like, you can work right here too if you want. And I'm like, right where? And he goes, right there, it's like, you're already there, it's like, we can do more. I'm like, no, we're not like, why you got to make it weird, bro? Like, no, that's the weirdest one yet. But there is a weird one with a female that I don't know. This was kind of odd, man. It was, she was a single mother, but she definitely wanted a happy ending. And I said, yeah, she was adamant about it. And I was like, listen, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to ruin my reputation that way. So I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. And she was like, well, I can pay more. And I'm like, it's something that every massage therapist gets presented to. I think more so the girl massage therapists get presented with stuff like that more. But there was this one lady that just was so adamant. And she was like, I'll give you an extra $500. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. She's like 800. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. She was 1,000. And I was like, I finally stopped. I stopped touching her. I sat down next to her and I said, listen, don't ever degrade yourself that much that you got to pay somebody to touch you that way. So don't do that. It's like you're worth more than that. Yeah. I ended up walking out of the room. She never booked with me again. I don't know. Maybe I made her feel bad about it. But, there are people that are seeking stuff like that. And then people get flirtatious a lot of times too. It's sad that it's like both men and women get flirtatious no matter who the therapist is. But yeah, I've dealt with both sides, man. Hey, man, I'm just trying to do God's work, bro. Just trying to do God's work. But it happens. Those temptations come here and there. And every massage therapist has came across that at one point or another in their career.
And the thing is, in Vegas, the word is spreading so fast, right?
That is one thing. Being called the torture room, because it's not torture room massage, it's not torture room therapeutics, it's just called torture room. You do get those freaks. They're like, hey, I've heard of a torture room. What exactly do you do? Can I book that session? I love this. I love that. And I'm like, bro, it's a massage place. Oh, that's even better. What are your rates? And I'm like, oh no, like it's really just a massage. I'm in a gym,
The dude, I just imagine you like in high heels and with a whip or so, and a badass wig.
That's what people expect, man. There's a few of those freaks everywhere. They're all over the world, but you'll definitely find them here in Vegas. It's fucking funny, man. But I'm just like, I think some people say, I tried to Google torture room, and I'm like, you're just going to come up with a lot of, I'm not at the top yet, but we're getting there. You might get some BDSM stuff at the top, and it's like, don't show that to your partner saying that's where you're going for a massage.
Talking about the regular issues that everyone has,
Yeah.
what are the typical things that everyone has, like neck or whatever, you know?
The most typical, it's always going to be neck and shoulders.
Yeah.
Number two is hips and low back. Those are the biggest things that everybody comes in with. Everybody always says, I carry my stress up here in the shoulders.
Yeah.
And then there's some people that say, man, my stress is in my low back and hips. It's always those two. Those are the top two at the forefront, and then everything else falls.
Why is that?
I think it's just the way we live now. You're either in an office all day sitting down. That's going to cause a lot of neurological issues and muscular disformities. And then there's people that are on their feet all day. You're either doing one or the other. And being on your feet all day, I mean, you carry a lot of stress in your upper back, depending on your posture, what it is that you're actually doing. If you're using your arms a lot while you're at work, it just comes to there. Those are a lot of the structural muscle groups, which we call slow twitch muscle groups. They can handle a lot of the work where you can still do it, and then it's in those quiet times when you're relaxing on your couch or you're trying to lay down in bed, you start feeling the pressure because your mind kind of slowed down. But those slow twitch muscle fibers, which are all on the posterior side, they can handle a lot of the grunt work that you have to do all day for hours on end. But when it's time to relax, they come back, they creep up, and they're like, "I'm still here, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You need to take care of me because I don't know how much longer we're gonna be."
Do you have some first responder recommendations for people with neck problems? Or like mobility recommendations, or what should you do, you know?
I believe, and I don't think a lot of people have faith in this, but I believe yoga is probably one of the greatest things you can do for tissue, not just muscle tissue, connective tissue, your nervous system, your breathing regimen, everything else, posture. I mean, a lot of people downplay yoga, and a lot of people say, I can't be in a yoga studio, trying to find my Zen. There's all different types of yoga, so it's not always about, finding spirituality or enlightenment. But yogis have broken the top of the bottle with what you can do when you go internal, from controlling your breathing, from regulating your heart rate, from, your intentional breathing can actually relax connective tissue. That's going to bridge the gap between your sensory nervous system and your motor nerve function, the muscle tissue. And it's going to help you be more mobile, loosen up joints. Now, some people have limitations, surgeries, and, certain conditions where they can't move as much, but you can still feel good even though you've had a few surgeries or, a few broken bones in your lifetime. But I, I I think people should apply yoga at least once a month. At least once a month. And don't downplay, going out for a walk, foam rolling. That stuff is really good. I'm not the biggest advocate of a foam roller.
It hurts.
It does hurt, and I use a foam roller every day, but it's I don't know, it gets people by, so but yeah, it's you got to be proactive in some kind of recovery. And if it isn't that, you I think doing intentional breathing, like some breathing exercises, a lot of stuff that happens on the extremities, like hands, arms, going up to the neck, things like that, knee issues, it could be all correlated all the way down to the diaphragm. So people just don't realize how stressed they are. And we become comfortable with the stress that we carry every day. And you hear that every time when people are like, it's just how my day is. I just got to keep going. And it's like, but they never set aside that hour. It doesn't have to be a whole day, that hour. It could be an hour once a month to say, my body recognizes that I'm going to get some relief here doing A, B, or C. And I think I put yoga at the top of the list, and people downplay it, but it's like it serves a lot of value with just how tissue responds under stress.
You said at least one time a month. What would be the ideal?
I mean, ideally, I mean, I would, I mean, I do yoga 4 times a week, but that's because I became a big advocate of yoga. So I love it. But everybody seems to be busy these days. Everybody's busy. You talk to anybody and they're like, no, I'm busy. I don't have time for that. So, but if you audit your time in a month, Audit the time that you spend playing on your phone, laying in bed restless. Like you'll find out you have like 5, 6, 7 days of accumulated time where you just weren't doing shit. You were just sitting in your own head, going over all the dumb drama that's going on in your life where you could have done something productive and proactive, like, hit yoga, going out for a walk, maybe reading a book, things like that. Visualization, sitting down in prayer, things like that. There's just a lot of stuff, man.
I personally believe that this is the biggest mistake people make. That, basically spending subconsciously time
Yeah.
thinking that they're under stress, but wasting it on the smartphone, not having the self management to establish routines and rituals like, okay, it's that time I go to yoga now. It's that time I do this now. And very often I think people spend the money wrong. For example, as you know, I love yoga and I had the surgeries or, the accidents, but I need the regular session with you where I know, okay, there are some areas that I can't tackle by myself. I need you like to work on the tissue to help me out. So I think like investment in your own body, it's being coached basically, right? I mean, that's what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, you also tell me, like in a session, you do this, you do that. Alrighty, new homework.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody needs to be guided in some kind of way
Yes.
because we all fall into our own, habits. And a lot of habits that people carry these days are very negative and it's very stressful. So, and people just aren't getting taught on how to have positive habits.
Yeah, but people always lack, I think, or a lot of people lack um, of the willingness to invest money into their education by being coached, seeing the torture room guy or so.
Yeah, that's true. You never know what somebody's struggle is, but you have to invest in yourself, is at least healthcare wise.
Yeah.
And something I heard a while ago was somebody was talking about discipline, and we hear this all the time. Discipline brings freedom, and it was like, well, how does discipline bring freedom? But it's like, if you're, um, how did he phrase it? He goes, if you don't have discipline, you're always going to be a slave. And they were like, explain that, because you don't have that freedom. Now you're a slave. And it's like, well, if you don't have the discipline to take care of yourself, you will be a slave to medications, to doctors, and everything else. And, if you're not disciplined with your finances, you're going to be a slave to your job, always thinking that your next paycheck will get you out of the gutter, things like that. If you're not disciplined with your communication, let me tell you, you're going to be a slave to fucking just always contradicting people and bumping heads and not having good relationships. So you need to be disciplined for the freedom, or if not, you're just going to be a slave to whatever it is that's going to hold you down. And a lot of times now we see it. It's like people's mental game is just down the gut. It's like it's sometimes it's hard to communicate with people who are just highly negative. They just always want to oppose people, and it's like, man. Yeah, there's a lot of great things in life, man. There's a lot of you woke up today. You woke up today, and let me tell you, as a massage therapist, I meet a lot of people who, man, they can't see the value in just being alive. And that's the saddest thing for me as a massage therapist, when I get to hear people's story, and I'm like, man, you woke up today.
And all trillions cells that you have, right? I mean, they function sort of.
Yeah, a biologist said this one day, if you want to change your life, change your story. I read that one day in a book.
Yeah, that's big. If you can grasp it, I think.
It was a biologist, a guy by the name of Bruce Lipton. I read one of his books. It was called The Biology of Belief. And he said, if you want to change your life, change your story. What's the story you keep telling yourself? My job sucks. I hate my relationship. Why am I always broke? I'm not good enough. I look ugly. Why do I have to look this way? Why does my hair this way? I always want to do this, but I just never do it. And your body, all the trillion cells that you just talked about, every cell in your body will make that your reality. You talk to highly efficient people who make it, people who succeed. They have a different story. And they're not gonna keep repeating the same story of like, oh man, why did I wake up today? It's Tuesday. I don't want to be at work on a Monday. I don't want to do this. They keep saying, I have another day. I have another day to be better. I failed yesterday. Yesterday wasn't that great of a day, but now I have today. Today's going to be better than yesterday. I have an option to make it even better. I learned from my mistakes.
What I observe is that basically these people that we just talked about that can master that, I think what they have in common is, first of all, they win the morning.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah, it is. Win the morning with attitude, having the right default, basic setup, like, oh, thankful, appreciating, wow, basically all the cells are working. I can breathe, my cardiovascular system is working. Well, it aches a little bit here and there, but everything else is working. And then I think the next thing is, in order to win the morning, is you need certain routines like, healthy food, nutrition, get going, get some grip, do work, start early, wake up, what you said before, like wake up early, do stuff. I think these are routines. And then on a regular base, I think rituals, like having a ritual. A ritual is something special. It's not a routine. A routine is just like, yeah, I can ignite it very easy by going somewhere, by being self-disciplined. But the ritual, for example, is something I have to spend money with and time and you know, dedicate a certain time, maybe travel time. For example, seeing you. Oh, my ritual is this week I'm seeing Miguel. He's gonna teach me something new. He's gonna tell me something new. He's gonna give me homework. And I think people lack of these three things.
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of people walk blindfolded, man. They're on autopilot the whole time.
Yeah.
On autopilot, they can go through their day, and it's the same day over and over.
Yes. Or they tell you they're awake and they're not.
They're not. Neuroscience has broken this down. Highly specific on, it's your subconscious mind just running on autopilot. Everything that you've been programmed of how horrible your life is, um, or how stressful it is, you're just running it on autopilot. You don't have that wake up call to just try to create your day. You're just living the day. You're not creating your day. And that's the biggest downfall people have. And those people that just live through the day, they're not living for the day. They're not creating their day. They always wonder, how did you do it? How did you do it? What is it that you did? And the minute you tell them, man, I'm up at 5 a.m., bro. I'm up at 5 a.m. and the first thing I do is I meditate for 30 minutes. I meditate in prayer. When I tell people that I do that within the first 30, that's why I wake up at 5 a.m. They're like, man, I don't know, I can't do that, bro. Like that ain't for me. And it's like, well, why'd you ask me how I'm doing it? You know? And it's again, it's like they're not stuck on a routine. They're stuck on the I can't do it. That's too hard. That's not for me. All these are negative statements that your body is saying, all right, fine. I will show you a world that you are creating. What you see, your perception is the ugly world that you create or the stressful world that you create or the angry world. And I heard a sermon guy say one time, the first 30 minutes that you listen to at the beginning of your day, guides your spirit of what your day will be like. So the first 30 minutes I listen to a certain level of frequency. It's the love frequency 528 and I meditate in prayer just to be thankful that I get to wake up, I get to go to work. Thank you for my healthy body. Help me help other people, guide me with decisions today. And that takes like 5 minutes and then I sit in silence and I just listen for Jesus's voice. The next 30 minutes, yoga and plyometric workouts. Just body workouts, push-ups, pull-ups, core stuff, but and then I introduce stretching with this. That takes 30 minutes. And after that I do a 2 to 3 mile walk. And that pretty much takes care of my first 2 hours of my day. It's all just for me. It's my routine, it's my ritual. And then I eat breakfast and then I head out to work in a positive attitude. I'm not listening to social media. I haven't opened up any social media platforms because all it is the drama of the world and everything that's falling apart. I don't need to hear all that in the morning. My goal is to be intentional with the business, grow it, help people out. You got to win the morning, man. You got to have a routine and you got to have rituals. You have to. And, people who don't have it, they become a slave to suffering and they just always want to know, well, how did you do it? Dude, discipline, brother. Discipline. It's all it takes. Discipline and then be committed. Because if you ain't committed, you're just going to do it once and then you're not going to do it the next day.
And the spiral gets even worse if there's a couple that lacks of both. A couple that doesn't have quality time where, for example, one person wakes up with a more miserable mood than she had yesterday or he had yesterday,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, relationships are hard in general, man, but you got to,
Especially here in Vegas.
especially in Vegas, you got to be on the same page, man. You got to know your person. You got to know your person. Some people need the quiet time in the morning. Some people love to be social. I mean, it's all what it is. But yeah,
But I think especially in a relationship, all that what we just discussed, win the morning together is harder than winning it alone. Having rituals together is harder than having it alone because, you might have to motivate your partner. You might have to remind them. They might be a little bit slower than you in certain developments and stuff, or don't see the necessity or, tend to go to the temptation faster than you do.
it's funny you even brought that up. I think that's one of the many reasons why relationships are a lot harder in this era. Now it's like the Me Too era, the hookup culture. Because it's all about me, me, me. And I get it. You need to take care of yourself, but I mean, when you're playing with somebody else's emotions, their time, their spirit, and you say you're together, it's like they want somebody already complete. They want you should just be ready to go. You should have no faults. Like, I'm sorry, I'm a human being. I have faults. I have emotions. I have feelings. I have thoughts and concepts. Not every day is amazing. Some days are harder than others. And like you said, sometimes you need to be the rock for your partner. Sometimes you be the motivational speaker. Sometimes you're the follower and sometimes you're the leader. But because each day becomes a little different, a little bit. And a lot of times, especially in this era, I noticed that people just want their partner complete. You should be good all the time. It's like, I'm a person, I don't like fucking Mondays, you know? Mondays suck, It's like, but it's just what it is, man. It's just what it is.
You talked about emotions. Is the torture room guy having actually nightmares about the time when you were homeless and stuff? You sometimes have that?
I don't think I have nightmares of being homeless again. Consciously I do. The fear of being broke all over again.
Yeah.
The fear of being broke is what keeps me driving more and more. Do I ruminate in that thought? No. But it like weaves in and out of my mind every now and then throughout the year. But so consciously I always think like, man, I know what it's like to be at the bottom. I know what it's like to not have any food, to be broke as fuck. So you know what? I always will change. As soon as I recognize that, I don't discard it. I recognize it, I accept it, and I'm like, well, why the fuck am I here then?
Yeah.
Get to work.
How often you have this nightmare?
Not too often anymore, man. Not too often. I have 100% faith that Jesus is taking me in the right direction. I have no doubt in my mind. So when those thoughts come in, I always go back to my faith, and I'm like, hey, you put me here for a reason. So if I'm going through a downtime, a hard time, a difficult time, I know it's for a reason. What do I need to learn at this moment? What do I need to learn? What am I not seeing, or what do I need to discover? So I just have, I have, uh, I just know that he's put me in the right path. So, and you got to go to the difficult times to really accept the good times, to really be grateful for those good times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing. Everybody only sees the good times.
Yes.
Everybody that's looking at you, everybody that sees you, everybody that praises you only saw the good times. They didn't see the struggle. They don't see those long nights. I mean, people don't know that I spent 6-7 hours at a Barnes and Noble just reading book after book after book. They just thought, oh, you just know it. It's like, no, man. I have journals on top of journals of stuff that I wrote down, of ideas and concepts of how I connected certain symptoms and conditions to modalities, and but nobody sees that. They don't see the quiet days in my home where I'm just talking in front of a camera, but they see all the social media stuff and they're like, bro, you made it. Like, you just know what to do. I'm like, man, I'm on the same boat that you are, man. I'm on the same boat, man. I got to discover things just like you have to.
Tell me about it. I hear that so often that people are saying like, oh, you made it to Vegas. You have your house there. You drive a fancy truck. You just sit in front of a microphone.
I'm sure you coming from Germany, and I'm sure people in Europe, I'm pretty sure they think you're living the American dream, and all you did was get here and everything was just given to you.
He got rich quick and stuff,
Yeah.
They don't see the hustle and, like that my truck is, I don't know how many years old and I'll fix it on the weekends, or my smartphone is, dude, for example, my smartphone the other day, I charged it to 80%, like a couple of minutes later was already on 37. But I was like, well, why should I buy a new one? Why always new, 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 buy, buy, buy?
Yeah.
And yeah, and people don't see the hustle, they don't see the work. To me, like every day is Monday. I never know when it's weekend. No kidding. Very often, like I'm just pull through and do stuff and da da da. And I see my clients like, all right, we wish you a wonderful weekend. We see you on Monday. Well, what day is today? Friday. Shit, right? Yeah. So I also work 7 days a week. I love it,
Yeah.
and I, th- I mean, you found your passion. I think you're the role model of that.
Yeah.
And once you have that, it's so cool to dedicate every day to that.
You have to. You have to. And a lot of times you're not going to know what your passion is or what your purpose is. I had no idea I wanted to do massage therapy.
Yeah, how did you find your passion?
Before massage, I worked as a jail guard. I was a corrections officer. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I worked in a jail. 800 prisoners,
Oh dear.
so I did that for
Like when people drop the soap and stuff.
yeah, it's all that, man. I saw riots, I saw people trying to commit suicide. It's very, very hard to see. I saw it all.
That is my nightmare, being in American jail.
Yeah, but I did that for, oh man, 12 years I did that.
What?
And so I went from that extreme. And the job I had before that, I was in a combat unit in the military.
Yeah.
All I had ever known in my life was security work, combat, and high stress situations. It's all I ever recognized in my life. That's all I thought I was good for. And I was in a relationship one time with a very great woman, and she saw a kinder side of society. And she's the one that taught me, like, you don't have to do this kind of work anymore. Like, you can be a different person. And I didn't, but you kind of don't know, you kind of always gravitate to what you've always known what to do. And she was the one that said, why don't you do massage therapy? And I was like, well, you're fucking stupid. Why the fuck do I want to touch people all day? That's dumb, But she was like, think about it. She's like, you won't be in a high stressful situation. You'll never have to fight another person ever again. You really don't have to argue with people. You'll be helping people, if anything. And I had no idea what massage was all about. I had no, I mean, put a weapon in my hand. I can do that. You know, um, but I fell in love with massage therapy. It was just a different side of me that I was able to discover. And, a girl I was dating at the time helped me get to that. And that's how I became a massage therapist. Yeah. So, and I had all these touch issues also, you know, girlfriends want to do cuddle time and let's watch a movie. Let me sit next to you. I'm like, why the fuck you always gotta sit next to me? Like, stop. Why do we gotta hold hands? Like, no, I'm right here. So I had all these like touch issues. And she was like, "You need to open up more." I'm like, "Why?" But when you're in security, I've been deployed twice in my life, working in the jail, oh man, seeing a lot of fights, seeing a lot of riots, seeing
So what would be your advice to all the people out there that look for their purpose to find their profession?
to find their purpose and profession. It's everybody's passionate about something. Some people just don't want to show it sometimes, you know. Um, but when you're passionate about something, it starts to grow purpose, you know. So, and sometimes you don't even know what your passion's going to be until somebody guides you to it. Somebody shows you, you meet new people, you do something, you get introduced to something and you're like, you know what, let me try it out for a little bit. And that passion just slowly grows and then it grows into a purpose. But I believe everybody has a passion to do something, but they're stuck just because we have to live, no matter where you're at in the world, you have to live, you have to produce some kind of income. They get stuck in a job where they're like, well, I can't do that. And I'm sure you've talked to many people in your life, being a speaker yourself, that people are stuck in a dead end job or stuck in a career where they're like, well, I just got to pay the bills. I got family, I got kids, I got to pay the bills. And they're like, if you could do something that you guarantee know was going to work 100%, what would you do? And a lot of times people will be like, oh man, I'd open up a bakery or, I want to be a photographer and capture pictures all over the world. Oh man, everybody has something that they want to do. And they just think that it was just a childhood dream. Everybody's born with a gift and everybody has greatness within them. And sometimes the experiences of life can sometimes beat the dreams out of people where they just accept the mundane days and the stress of just like, well, I just got to survive, you know? But so revisit what is it that you actually like to do, and what do you like to do, and you know dedicate a little bit of time to it, because trust me, you can live your dream if you want to, man. It doesn't have to be all stressful all the time.
I hear that question all the time, like, hey, like, how do I find what I love? And I want to find my purpose. I want to speak to people and stuff, Um, but very often, you just called it very nicely. You had a issue. So the issue was that basically, like your professions made sure that you basically, like you didn't touch people and stuff, but you had to be in control, you were serving a purpose, you were, following the mission and stuff. And then that wonderful woman, has introduced you to the idea, why not massage therapy? And you were like, oh, I got this roadblock in here that is called, I don't want to be too close or touch people, the way you call it. And I hear that so often that I see that so often that people have a certain issue. They don't know themselves too well. So basically, the dream is there, but the roadblock is so big and they just look the whole time at the roadblock.
Yeah.
And I think, like the very first step to finding your purpose is to understand yourself. Where are my issues? To see these roadblocks that probably keep you away from striving towards that purpose.
Yeah, yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself, man. Yeah, but a lot of people have that stuff going on. It's just, and that's why I say it's the experiences of life. I saw combat twice. I lost a lot of friends. I've been in a jail. Worked in a jail, so I saw a lot of hatred, animosity, and rival gangs beating each other up. I saw a lot of that, so I was always on 360. It eventually changed my mindset to how I presented myself to society, of like, I need to have 360 awareness, and I need to have at least 3 feet, uh, gap in between people. And it got so extreme that even the girl I was dating at the time, I'm like, just don't touch me. I'm here, I'm present with you. But that wasn't enough for her. It's a relationship. You got to compromise in relationships. But she was able to see something in me that was like, you can change the way you are. And it ended up changing my whole outlook on life,
Yeah.
and that's how I didn't know that I would have a passion for this. But I say my passion was, I always loved learning something new, no matter what it was. It could be any subject. I'm like, dude, I want to learn more about, like, tell me more. So I was always a very curious person. And I think that's the driving force now in massage therapy with the torture room. And and a lot of people ask, well, how is this one different? And like, why are you so excited every day you get to go to work? And I'm like, I every hour is a new person with a new story, with new experiences, and I get to learn something new about a new person, and I get to hear their story. Not only that, I have to understand the problem, create a solution, and execute it. Every hour, it's a new thing that I get to learn. It's not it's so unique to me that I'm like, dude, this is the greatest job in the world for me, because my passion is learning a lot. That's why I'm always reading books on so many different categories. It's like I just want to know more and more and more. So I'm a very curious person. But what I decided to choose to do when I turned 18 was go into a combat unit in the military. That started a trajectory of like, okay, this is all you know how to do, and so I lost my passion of learning something new. And it only took one person to walk into my life that kind of gave it that spark all over again. So, but yeah, you just don't know. That's how crazy and weird life is, man.
Yeah.
But everybody has a passion. Mine was learning, and I'm like, I just want to know everything that you tell me something that you do. I'm like, man, tell me about that. Yeah, yeah. I've never heard anybody put it that way.
Yeah, man.
So, but it's essentially true. It's essentially true. And one thing I learned, it was very difficult and it's not easy to do, was I had to learn how to be the last one to speak.
Mm.
And I think that one hit. That was the end of me learning how to just approach people and understand people. Like instead of and what I mean by just being the last one to speak, it's one thing to say, hey, I wanna just listen to you. That's one thing. A lot of people can do that, but when you're the last person to speak, it does a few things to the person that walks into the torture room with their issues. Number one, it lets them know that they were actually heard. And, no matter what the story is, all I do is ask questions to help me better understand the situation. It lets you know that I'm 100% fully attentive to you. So that means now that's going to build the trust that says, you know what, this guy's listening to me. And just because I told him what I'm feeling, he's not saying, nah, that's not possible. Let's just move on. I want to hear the whole story. So I'll be the last to speak. You just tell me more. And the only thing I'm allowed to do is ask questions to understand it better. But it lets you confirm. You're like, all right, well, he's really listening to me.
Yeah.
And some people will say, am I crazy for feeling this way? And I'm like, you're not. It's 100% valid that you feel this way. So just tell me more about it. Just explain it in your own words. And I just sit there and listen. And it gets me to understand and learn new things, new experiences. And while people are telling me their story, I get to actually visualize the treatment that I'm already giving you. I can do two things at once.
Yeah.
I can actually listen to what people are telling me. And with the other side of my brain, I can actually see what the next hour is going to unfold. As you tell your story, I already know where I'm going to start, what the purpose is, how I'm going to unfold the treatment, where I'm going to starting point to end point. And the only thing that happens the minute we start is, I actually receive and give back information to the human body of how I wanted to respond. So, and then we confirm that after the session by how are you feeling? Let's do a little bit of stretching. The pain symptoms should slowly dissipate a little bit better. And 9 times out of 10, man, people feel a whole lot better. And but they feel heard.
I'm very blessed that I can have this nice conversation with you, like the famous torture room guy, bodybuilders, first responders, like athletes, but can also, just regular customers, or do you still have availability for customers, like to reach out and to get a treatment? How to get people in touch with you? And do you take anyone, like as a customer, or?
Anybody and everybody's welcome in the torture room. Anybody. I'll work on anybody who wants to come through. But being called the torture room, I'm definitely not going to get certain people. You know, I'm definitely not going to get the person who wants to just relax. They're not going to call the torture room for relaxation. You know, the 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 girl that's going to get married, that wants to get the pre-wedding massage to de-stress and get the sugar foot scrubs and all, they're not going to come to me. So people will come to me when they have issues where they're like, I can't do this anymore. It hurts to go to sleep. My foot's going numb. I don't know. It hurts when I turn to the left, things like that. But yeah, I have a lot of clients that are just your everyday people just trying to make it through life. Yeah. So most people find me on Instagram. So I have all my stuff on there, contact information, emails, even phone numbers on my Instagram. I'm not going to show it's my business phone. So it's going to get there. I have a link tree on there with everything that I do. So most people find me on Instagram. A lot of people just are referred to me, and which is very, very unique. But Instagram and YouTube, I think, are the biggest platforms where people find me. And, the travelers will find me on YouTube, and most referrals and local people will find me on Instagram. But if you believe you are facing a certain condition where you're like, I don't know what else to do, I'm just going to live this way, that don't make that your reality. Swing by the torch room. Let me show you what's possible.
So, customers that have issues, that have problems can reach out to you. Who else can reach out to you? I mean, also, for example, if I'm a company, or, do you also have other kind of customers, or massage therapists? Do you also do master classes?
Yeah, so not a lot of companies reach out to me. Maybe some supplement companies will reach out to me during like event times here in Vegas, and they want me to work with their athletes. So that's very good to work with them. So other massage therapists, absolutely. That's a big one that I slowly started diving into about a year ago, where I started running a torture room mentorship program. And it's not about learning a new technique. It's about elevating yourself as a therapist to break open new ideas, new concepts, to find out who you are and who you want to be in the career of massage. Because we're all very valuable, but you have to be very authentic to yourself. So the mentorship program isn't about a technique or modality. It's like, can we bring the best value out of you to help other people? Because some people do get stuck in their career where they're like, God, did I reach the end? Is this all what massage really is? And I started this because I eventually started meeting massage therapists who got out of the career. And when they meet me, they're like, "Oh, you're the torture room guy." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, been doing it for 12 years." And they're like, "I did massage. I was always booked, man. I couldn't do it anymore. It was too many people. You know, the energy felt heavy. Something happened, or I kept seeing the same people all the time. So and they just got out of it because they got bored. But I really love massage therapy, and I want to keep it alive. And I know there's people out there that genuinely want to help everybody else and just help people. And that's a lot of it. What people will get into massage for, they're like, I want to help people. I think this, whatever it is, whether it's the technique, the energy, or just being a good, listener to people, but people will fall out of love with it because of how stressful people come into their room. And there's ways to combat it. So the mentorship program is just to help elevate you to become the best version of you so you can have the great business or just be a great employee at whatever business you're at, where you can still keep helping people and draw more people into you. And the more people you help, the better you start feeling. So I've worked with quite a few people all over the world already with my mentorship program. People from all over have reached out to me. So they just seek guidance, help, and I figure if I can help another person help somebody else, dude, man, what greater part of success is that, man? Because the torture room's gonna one day be gone. I was told that one day. I was told that one day.
Wow, that's powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was working on a coach that was his name's Joe Sullivan. And he was actually recognized by Forbes magazine as one of the top 5 influential coaches of the year. And he had booked a session with me, and he wanted to know my story. We had a great conversation, and I told him how grateful I am to be doing everything. And he said, "That's really good." Obviously, he's an influencer and a coach himself, and he was like, "Just remember, there's gonna be a day where you do your last massage. I mean, the torture room will stop one day. Like you're gonna walk into your office and you're gonna say, 'This is my last fucking day.' Might be today, it might be in 10 years from now or 20 years." He goes, "But everybody has a last day. And I don't know when that day is gonna come. But but I figure on my end, that planted a seed in me that actually says, well, what can actually stand the test of time? It's, your knowledge, what what kind of impact did you put on another person or other people?" And I have this vision in my mind all the time. Uh, I have this vision where things are finally over. Let's say my life is over. It's done. I've lived a great life. I'm 99 years old. Maybe I make it to the triple digits, 100, but it's finally over. Taking my last breath, and I finally see Jesus Christ, and it's over. And he doesn't ask me anything, but when I see him, I just have this vision where he puts his hand on my shoulder and he turns me around, and I just see a sea of glowing white lights, people's spirits. And all he says is, "That's the impact you had on the world that I put you in. So you did all that. Come walk with me."
You definitely enlightened my candle. You really did.
Yeah.
I mean, and that I have to add is due to my 2 accidents that I have. I've been to massage therapists in Asia. I've been to massage therapists in Germany, in Spain, in Italy, in Switzerland. I've been to other massage therapists here in United States.
Man, you're a well-traveled guy.
Yeah, I've been to 53 countries and over 500 cities in my life. I lived in 3 continents.
Wow. Dude.
And the number 1 in the world is you. Period.
Man, that means a lot, bro. That means a lot.
And I know a lot. I know a lot. And I wish, because same with tattoo artists, how we started.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of goodwill on earth, but very often bad results.
True.
And especially in massage therapy, so often people have done stuff where I was like, I went through the session, I paid a lot of money, a lot of time. I know they can't always do magic, but very often, they didn't really help. But so often I came to you with a lot of pain, with a lot of problems. And what you just said before in these 30 minutes when that one woman saw your tattoo, so often in these 60 minutes, you have helped me a lot. You really have lightened up that candle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would love that other massage therapists learn more from you, like that diligence, that humbleness that you have, like that go the extra mile, be empty for your customer, like listen to him, fill yourself up with his problems and, massage it out, talk it out, connect to the cells. Whatever you do, it's magic. It is.
One thing I strive for, I would love to just start publicly speaking, just get into more speaking engagements. I mean, obviously I'm not a motivational speaker. I've never really done it at a high scale, but I would love to talk to more like students, let them know what's possible, let them know to don't give up on that dream of what you think your vision is, because not everybody wants to be the torture room. Some people want to excel by owning a spa and wellness center. That holds a lot of value with people too, and but you're right about what you said about filling up the cup. One thing I heard, I listened to a motivational speaker named Jim Rohn a lot, and he always said, if you think your cup is full, can you put any more in? Can you learn more? And a lot of people will always say, and you'll know where people's mindset is, their thinking process. And I was like, well, if your cup is full, then no, you've kind of reached your peak. He's like, no. He's like, you pour more out, you give back, and then you can take more in your cup. So when you think you've reached a peak, start giving back. Start giving back. Trust me, start showing people, give back a little bit. And then guess what? You're going to have more room to do more. It opens up more doors, maybe. I don't know. Like for me, I kind of mastered how I like to approach massage therapy in my way. So me giving back is teaching other people. And eventually, I want to grow that to where I can start doing public speaking and actually motivate other healers to just want to keep doing the same, so you got giving back, pour out a little bit of that cup to keep pouring more in. You have to. It's amazing.
Amen.
Hell yeah.
Brother, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Based inside the Dragon Slayer gym. There he is, Miguel. Hit him up on Instagram. Send him a message. And yeah, my man, many thanks for being here. And what we do next is that we hit this burlesque.
I'm looking forward to it. It looks good on Instagram, man. I think it's going to be nice.
And we're planning this since a while. We have to do this now. Yeah.
Make some dinner reservations, see the show, see what's going on.
Yeah, let's do that.
And it's Vegas, so I know it's going to be a great time, man. Bro, thanks for having me on here.
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely, man.
Alrighty.